It's a singer's isolation. Singers only. Singer's isolation. Singers only.
So let's talk about the first part of a vocal regimen that is going to be very helpful for you.
Hi, you guys. It's Crystal Sherrill from Indie Artist School. Welcome to the Singer's Arsenal. So this is something that I wanted to do this week, which is really different. I wanted to share with you an actual module from the R&B Singer's Arsenal that I have about how to breathe, okay? So this is going to be best served if you can stand while you're doing it. I also recommend that you have a mirror in front of you so that you can get the most out of it. But if you're just sitting somewhere and you're not able to get to a mirror right now or stand up, no worries, okay? Don't bother. What I want you to do is listen, absorb, and really focus on the concepts that I'm telling you. And you could try breathing along wherever you are as you're listening or watching today's episode. And then whenever you have some time, a moment to stand in front of the mirror and try it, to double check yourself, try it again with the episode. So you can watch this as many times as you want. At the end of today's episode, you're going to find that there is an exercise you get to do, and you can see if you can improve your breathing numbers so that you can increase your breath capacity over time. Now, this is not a breath capacity episode necessarily. This episode is all about making sure you have the fundamentals of breathing correct so that you don't have to struggle as you're working on improving your breath capacity, working on improving how long you can hold a note, working on improving how many breaths you actually need to take in a phrase so that you can sing a lot more like you hear live performers do who are professional, okay? So if that sounds good to you, let's get into it, okay?
Breathing. All right. So one of the things that you want to make sure you're doing is make sure that your posture is upright. You don't want to be slouched like this. You don't want to be looking up like this. And you might not even know that you're doing this. So hear me out. A lot of my students come in and I'm talking about their posture and they're like, what do you mean? I'm standing fine. They're standing normally when they're not singing, right? But the minute they get to singing, hit a high note, weird things start happening sometimes, and you might not even know it. So one of the ways that you can really help make sure that you're killing it on your vocal exercises and that you're breathing correctly and through everything else is make sure that you have a mirror. Yeah, film yourself or just put a mirror in front of you so you could see what's going on. It's hard to know what it feels like if you've never done it correctly, so you can't necessarily rely on how you feel to know if your posture is correct or not. What you need to do is get used to standing upright. So you want to make sure your back is straight up and down. You want to make sure your shoulders are down and back so that your rib cage can be fully opened up, okay? Once you've got that down, you want to make sure that your knees are not locked. I don't know if you're one of those people who lock their knees. I know a lot of us do that. I have a tendency to kind of stick one hip out, and lean heavily on one side. Now that sounds cool, and it's cool when you're just hanging out. But when you're like this for a long time, you're cutting off some of the blood circulation. If you lock your knees, same thing happens. And one of the crazy things about performing, if you're not used to it, is that you get an adrenaline rush. I don't know if you've ever tried to sing and you're like, oh my gosh, my heart is beating so fast. And when your heart beats faster, guess what? There's increased blood flow. And guess what? If you've got any parts of your body that are not fully neutral and they're locked and blocking the flow of blood, you know what I'm about to say, right? Lightheadedness. Oh my gosh, I feel so dizzy. Let me get out of here, right? So make sure that your posture is upright. There's another reason why you want to do this is so that you can take a full breath in when it's time to breathe. All right, so you got that. Step one on breathing is making sure your posture is neutral. All right, so you neutral? Are you neutral? I mean, for real, do you know that you're neutral? All right, as long as you know. You good? All right, let's get it. So I want you to put your hands right around your waist, okay? Not on your rib cage, not on your hips, but in the squishy part of your stomach, okay? All right, so what we're gonna do is pretend that our stomach is a balloon that we're filling up with air. And as we breathe in, we wanna make our balloon go out. I know, that sounds like really weird, right? If you take a breath right now the way you are, I want you to look in the mirror or look in a camera and see what you're doing. Are you doing this?
Is your chest going up and down?
Is this you? Is that you? Did I just call you out? Are you cool? All right. Don't feel bad. This is very common. It's normal. What just happened is that you took a chest breath. That means that you're taking a shallow breath and your lungs are not completely filling up with as much air as they possibly could. Can you believe that? There is something else at play that you need to start using called the diaphragm. Where's the diaphragm? Well, I could get real technical, but we're not going to do that. What I want you to do is put your hand on your lower belly, okay? When you push that out, it's flattening out your diaphragm so that your lungs can actually take in more air. So there's a method to the madness of pretending your stomach is a balloon so that your lungs can fill up with air completely. So try it again, do it slowly, and make sure your chest and shoulders don't go up, okay? All right, here we go. Let's get it. Breathe in. All right, I think you did it. Maybe you did it. I don't know. Maybe you didn't. Let's try it again. Breathe out. All right. If you find yourself raising your shoulders and chest multiple times in a row, just relax, take a beat, and try again. One of the things that I tell everyone who is learning, be patient with yourself, okay? All right, let's try it again. All right, another thing that you can do to make sure that you're actually filling up with air is making sure that your hands are getting pushed out by your stomach. Okay, so that's an extra checkpoint. So just in case you don't have a mirror on hand or a camera, you can still make sure that you're projecting from your diaphragm. Let's try it again, okay? 1, 2, breathe in. All right. Good job. So now what we're going to do is something called support. Okay, so let that air out. I'm sure you're probably holding your breath, getting dizzy. Don't do that. All right, let's get it. All right, so I'm sure you're probably wondering, how come I take a breath in? I'm good on that department. Like maybe you've had training before and you already know about the diaphragm. But there's this other part, which is breath support. What is breath support? Breath support is your ability to hold a note with a consistent airflow. So one of the things you might notice is maybe you start strong and then you run out of breath at the end of a phrase, or maybe you find yourself singing notes at the same volume, not understanding what you need to do to sing a little bit louder. Another thing is that maybe you just get a little tired or feel strained when you sing notes. If that's the case, chances are you're missing this second step, which is breath support. So remember how we filled up our balloon with air? All right, good. You got it, right? Okay, so now what we want to do is keep our stomach out. I know. When you think of singing a note or breathing out, what's the first thing you think of? Everything coming down, right? Like that. If you think like that, don't worry. It's normal to think like that. And to be honest, you're partially correct. Your stomach will come back in. But breath support is being able to control how much or how fast your stomach goes back in. The more further in your stomach gets in, like that, you get weaker, right? So if you feel like you're doing a crunch every time you're singing, you're straining. That's unnecessary strain that you're giving yourself. And so let's cut that and nip that in the bud right now. All right, so what I want you to do, hands around your waist. All right, so we're gonna take a deep breath in, and instead of breathing in and holding it, we're actually going to do a hiss. I'm gonna hiss for 4 counts. I'm gonna actually turn my metronome on here. We're gonna breathe in for 2, and we're gonna hiss out for 4. You ready? Here we go. Breathe. All right, so one of the things you might have noticed is that I kept my stomach out for the duration of the hiss. Maybe you collapsed your stomach in. So that's okay. Let's try it again. Breathe in. All right, how did you do that time? All right, if you didn't get it yet, you can always rewind to try it again. But for those of you who got it, let's keep going. All right, we're gonna go all the way to 8 now. Are you ready? Great job. All right, you ready? We're gonna do it for 16 now. Ready, go, breathe. Awesome. So maybe you didn't make it all the way through. That's okay. You want to do your best, okay? Work yourself up to being able to take a full diaphragmatic breath for 16 counts, okay? If you can breathe in for 2 and hiss out for 16 using your diaphragm, then you'll be ready for the breathing level 1 exercises, okay? But don't move too fast, okay? Make sure you've got this before you move forward. Trying to do breathing exercises when you don't understand how to isolate your diaphragm is going to be really difficult. If you've got to practice in the mirror a few times, just to practice keeping your shoulders down and keeping your chest neutral and open as you fill up with air, doing that a few times every day will really help you isolate your diaphragm. Great job.
How did you do? If you're watching on YouTube, I want you to go ahead and leave a comment so I can know if there's anything that you were doing that you had no clue that you were doing before. If you're listening to the podcast, awesome. I just want to say I hope you did really great. If you didn't, that's okay. You can replay this episode as many times as you need. Also, if you want to go even further into this and learn more about how to increase your breath capacity and to even have better breath allocation and expand your vocal range, learn more vocal runs and other things that are fundamental to singing, but also that can help you take your R&B singing to the very next level, go ahead and visit my website, indieartistschool.com, and click the R&B Singers Arsenal tab on the website. I can't wait to see you there. Well, you guys, until next time, have a wonderful day.